Welcome to part 20 of building Uncle Dorkel. This thing is way too wide. It's 15 inches by 8 inches, so that's 15, 30, 38. That's another dimension. It's going to be way too big. I won't be able to get one of those shirts on. So what I'm going to do, I rounded these corners off. You saw me do that on the part 19. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down here and I'm going to bring these ends in so it's rounded on this corner and rounded on this corner. So as you're looking at the top of it, it'll be something like this here, but all the way through. So there will be no square corners on this. So as you're looking at this now, I cut this right off and you fold this down like this. It gives you like sort of like a rounded corner. Something like this here. So then when I do put a little padding in here, it'll make it pretty round and it won't look so square. So we're going to do the same to this corner. Now what I'm going to do here is to put some glue in here, hold it together, and tape, of course, to hold it into position. I'll do that off camera. As you can see, it's kind of like rounded off. And see how I did it here? I just folded the two ends, overlapped each other. So as you're looking at the top, it's a little better. There is some more work I got to do on this, and I got to work on this part too. I'm going to round this a little bit, but I have to have enough room for that plate on the bottom of his head. So we don't want the plate to overhang, so we do need a flat surface for that to ride on. So I'll do a little rounding here, and then I'm going to work on this corner. We'll do all this off camera, and I'll come back on this video when I get all this done. Alright, you can see it's kind of like rounded. Now this is the top, of course. What I'm going to do is to take off a little. I got to take a measurement here again to see how far back I can go, but I got to round this off a little. Remember, I have to round this off. But this is going to be very difficult to do because there's a lot of fold over here and everything else and tape, and it's going to weaken it greatly if I do. So I might not do that. I might rely on some kind of padding or something. But whatever I put in here, I got to make sure it doesn't raise up the plate. The plate's going to sit on top. The plate that's on the bottom of his neck is going to sit on top here. So naturally, any raising here is going to cause a problem underneath when that pull lever for his jaw is going to get in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this now. What I did is I take the razor blade and I cut right along the edge. That's how I did here. And then I score halfway through here, and I score halfway through here. That's how I did these. And then I fold it in. If you don't score it, you're not going to be able to get a good fold line. And sometimes the scoring is pretty deep, so what I got to do is put masking tape on it so it doesn't separate. Well, that plate that's underneath his neck is 6 inches in diameter. So I cut back here and fold this down. Instead of getting 8 inches, I'm going to get 7 inches. I'm not pushing the issue anymore. I'm going to I'm going to fold this and I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to leave this square, but I will round these corners off over here. So I'm going to commence to cutting this now and fold it over. Alright, as you can see, I took and kind of rounded this off a little bit. Looking on the inside, this is the top, of course. That still leaves me That still leaves me a flat surface of 7 inches, so there's no problem there because the circle is 6 inches. So I'm not gonna do anything with this. I'm just gonna knock these corners off here. Do that off camera. Now it's not really rounded, but if you look at it, it's a little more rounded than it was earlier in the video series. So now, like I say, I'll put padding on this. I don't know what kind of shirt I'm going to be able to put on this. I hope one of my shirts fit it. If not, well, I may have to go to the thrift store and get a huge shirt to put on this. And I really don't want a big body, but of course, don't forget the back is not going to be shown. So worst case scenario, I can put a standard shirt on this and it'll be a big space in here after I cut down the back. So I may not have to buy any large shirts for this guy, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of work before we get to that point. Well, as you can see, this is the front. I got the sides rounded. Now what I did is I knocked off the 2 corners. And we'll just put tape on there. I'm not going to get too fussy with it. Like I say, I can't do nothing with this. This is going to have to be just that way, and maybe I'll just put a little padding in here to kind of like round it over. But each time I add something like that, of course, naturally it's going to make the shirt, I'm going to need a bigger shirt. Okay, well, it's kind of squarish, but that doesn't matter because, like I say before, there'll be some padding in here. But I'm not going to be able to do anything with this as far as rounding it off is concerned. I might be able to skim this down with the saw. Take my saw, which by the way did a much better job than a coping saw on these corners here, because the corner material was quite thick. It was double folded, so it was pretty heavy. But we got glue in between these panels. Alright, well, I rounded these off, rounded this off. That's the bottom right here. And that's the top. This is the front. That's where the head goes. I just got a little more taping to do here. Make sure it's good and strong. It's about as good as I can make the body. Alright, I'm cutting a 3.5 inch hole in the top here. I take a saber saw and go around. It's a double layer of cardboard. I don't have a hole saw that would cut a nice round hole, so I have to use a saber saw. This pull cord and this stock here, the pipe, well, it has to be a hole big enough so that when this thing makes a turn, this will ride in the hole. Now this is 6 inches from this. There's a flat side on each one. Just happens to be the way the fiberboard is. So it's 6 inches from here to here. So I think a 3.5 inch hole is plenty big enough. And the reason it's 3.5 inches is because of this. Now, what I have to do is to support this, because a seam is very weak here, so I'm going to have to either put a piece of wood up here or some metal or something. Then I figured I'll probably put a bolt here down through and a bolt down through here. It'll go down inside the hole that I'm going to be cutting in the top. It'll be coming down like this, and that'll keep it centered. And then I'll probably put some washers underneath it so it won't fall out of place. But the problem is it's not going to be a smooth transition. There isn't really any other way that I know of to make this thing ride smooth on the top of that box that it's going to be sitting on. I don't know of any other way, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to commence to cut that hole in the box. Okay, one neck hole. Alright, so she's in the hole, and you can see there's room to put that string to hang down. My problem is trying to make a bearing surface so that this will ride on. I haven't figured out that yet. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I certainly don't want to have to bolt it down and become rigid and not be able to turn the head at all. That wouldn't be good. This project is loaded with challenges. Looking at the back here, we'll turn it around. You see there's room for the cord hanging down so I can swing it around. So that's not a problem. Now because this plate here has a split here and a split up here, I'm going to be putting a reinforcement in here and bolting it down. Those same bolts will come down through underneath here, and there'll be a guide bolt, hopefully, so that this thing can turn. But right now I got to reinforce this. There'll be some felt or something on top of this. I have some felt that's similar to this color here, which I was originally going to use for the mouth, that I'm going to be putting on this. That'll be the last thing I do. Alright, even though that's contact cement, still clamping it to make sure that it's held real tight against the original plate. We'll just leave it like this for a while. Now, this should eliminate the flexing, but what I'm going to do is put another one of these plates on the bottom. Just try to get this to be smooth as possible, and I don't know if I can do it without cutting it in half. Probably have to do like I did here. I need a smooth surface. I'm not positive if I'm going to put a plate on the bottom of that or not, but let this set for a while. Now, I can take these clips off at any time. What I need is a smooth surface so that this thing can slide on the top of the body without binding. There's too much silicone here and it's a rough fit. So like on this one it's smooth, but I only did this because of the strengthening it up. Here I need to take some fiberboard like I did before, the smooth side. I need to cut a piece and sandwich it right on top of here. So that'll not only give it strength, but it'll give a smooth surface to ride on without binding up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to lift this, push on the stock and lift the head every time I want to turn it. I don't need to be doing that. This thing should turn easy. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these clips off. I'm going to make a plate for the bottom of this. That looks like something from outer space here. Okay, you can see that the smooth side, I should say, is facing out. So now that's a total of 2 layers with the original one sandwiched in between. So when this all sets up, and I put silicone in here instead of contact cement because there's so much silicone in here now anyways. So we're going to just let this dry overnight, and then I'll put a bolt, probably 2 bolts, one here, and one in the back, which will keep it centered in the hole. In the top of the torso. So if I need to, I can put a piece of material here to have it something smooth to turn on. But I don't want to build this up too much because then I'm going to have a problem reaching that pull string. I got a little bit of glue here that seemed to have run down. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we're losing glue out of here. Alright. We'll just let this sit upside down here. We'll clean it up tomorrow. Poor Uncle Dorkel, he's upside down here. I guess I can put him right side up. I can stick him in his stand. He doesn't need to be upside down. I'll put you away for today. Put you back in the stand. That's why I leave that bottom hook out for now. Okay. We'll come back on this video, or in the next part, whichever the case may be. So don't go away, because there's more to come.